We've seen sort of a sharp influx in the amount of computer science and engineering graduates lately, along with the decline of humanities majors. So I'm wondering, what sorts of roles do non-computer science people have in the business world? Mm-hmm. And then further, as a tech company yourself, who do you find yourself looking to recruit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good question. And I think ultimately, as much as you always need, very good technical people to build the tech.
Sure.
I was actually having this conversation this morning at a CTO roundtable because people are asking, do you want to be an engineering-driven organization or a product-driven organization? And I think you always want to be a product-driven organization. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is that we are people, working with other people, selling to other people, building products for other people. If you are an engineering-first organization, you I think have a really big risk of ending up in a place where you're just building something for the sake of building it and perfect it because that makes so much sense mathematically, engineering wise, and it's just so pretty, and then nobody's ever gonna fucking use it because you're not solving anybody's problem. So I think
it's a nice to have. It's not a
and it's an overkill maybe, or it's like you haven't listened to your users, right? So I think that's the part of product that is so important, and that's where you need people's people, right? People that actually go out and talk to other people, understand problems, and which is why I think ultimately most entrepreneurs are still not super engineer heavy. They're still more, or they are engineers that have people's skill set, right? They understand people.
Right. They know how to ask questions. They know how to have meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
They know how to create good content.
Exactly. I think
you're talking about myself.
Ruben is the best entrepreneur that we have here in house.
Woo! That's going on the resume.
Got it. 1 mark.
Okay. So next question, and this will be actually my last question for you.
Delete one.
Don't want to take up too much of your time. I'll tell you that later. So in the future, do you think that all companies will need to be tech first? What's the cost to society when we constantly strive to automate for the sake of efficiency?
No. Again, I think it's about finding problems, and I think there's so many. I think we actually risk sometimes of going too much into this tech utopia world of everything cool needs to be tech.
Sure.
There's so many other cool things that are not tech, food, pasta, for instance.
Yes.
Very cool. But cool. other things, there's so many. I'm fascinated actually way more by innovations that are along other dimensions. So there's a lot of. The way I look at it, ultimately, there's two key dimensions. There's a lot more, but two key dimensions that you can innovate alongside. One is technology, right? So build something that's a leapfrog better than what exists today, or something that's faster, better, whatever, right? And then the other thing is along sort of social business model, innovation, right? So. And that is really about this, people's capability of looking around the world and understanding how can we repurpose, for instance, certain things, right? So there's a lot of stuff around waste management that is super interesting, or how do you take idle resources, right? Think about Airbnb. Airbnb didn't build any fucking technology. They, they're a tech company, but they just looked at, hey, there's idle resources, houses, how can we repurpose that? Uber is the same thing. Yes, there is a layer of technology that enables that on top of it, but they didn't invent anything new, right? No, So I think that is actually really interesting, right? Is looking at how can we play around with what we already have and repurpose it in new ways.